Anybody need a Rolaids?
No.
All right, we'll call to order the April 27th, Council Finance Committee meeting. It's 4:01. The town manager has a balanced budget that he is going
We do have a balanced budget.
to go over some preliminary stuff.
Hang on a second, let me get caught up. Let me get warmed up here. We have a total budget, including all funds, balanced at $21,810,614. That includes everything,
That has gone up a lot.
How much was it last year?
about 19 and change. I think she's got it in here, what it was last year, but I think it was 19.
When I started years and years ago, we were at $9 million budget.
When I started working here, it was 11 million bucks.
Crazy what it's.
But I will tell you, a lot of this is capital stuff.
I'll agree.
Last year was 19,764,000, and this year's 21,810. But you got an almost $2 million fire truck,
Your armory's in.
armories in there, so that's a good portion of it, your capital stuff.
East End's not in there this year, inflating that part, but it's other projects now.
Different projects, so it fluctuates. The capital really is the big changes in difference. Okay. We'll go over the highlights. Jackie and I talked about those, and I'm not telling you these are totally inclusive because there could be something that we didn't put in the highlights you may have a question about, thoughts about, and we'll try to hit them all as much as possible. On the revenues, when you look at revenues, you're going to see big numbers, and $1,050,000 is the amount of grant money from USDA for the truck. Total truck purchase, $1,840,000.
So your remainder, your $790,000 is coming from where?
$520,000 you're gonna see in a, loan proceeds line in your revenues. That's what you're borrowing. You're borrowing $520,000 and you're using $270,000 of cash that we have on hand, 200 of which the county gave us, if you remember. And 70,000 is the county, or the fire department's, apparatus check from last year that we're sitting on. And that should equal $1,840,000. If you look at some of USDA's, preliminary stuff, they've included that $80,000 grant and the 40 and then the 40 match, if you remember. But the actual truck, does not include all the outfitting that they've been buying stuff and bags and all sorts of stuff for, okay? You'll also see a revenue that's gonna be eye-popping of $2,534,000. $270,000 of that, we just talked about a fire truck, which is 200 from the county and 70, which is what the county gave us for apparatus, money last year, that we haven't sitting in an account. 2.2 million on the armory. Okay, and then I've got an expenditure that matches, it may be a little bit more, but $75,000 is the expenditure for school building demolition.
Where do you get that number from?
The 75? Well, I know with the asbestos, remember the asbestos cost was like $38,000 bucks?
Correct.
And then I just factored in 40 grand to knock that sucker down the hollow. Because the county has voted to waive the tipping fee.
Yeah, but is that, and there's still an agreement if it's on our property?
Yeah, the county, that was,
Okay,
county.
That's my
John Moore
understanding.
confirmed that
Okay.
they had already voted on that.
gotcha, okay, that's why I was
Whether or
questioning
not,
that number.
whether or not we own the property or not, that's the
That's why I was
understanding.
questioning
Yeah.
that.
75 is a little swag, I mean, it's factor, but if you factor in our time and our trucks and.
We need to
do all
factor
that
in,
kind of stuff.
I mean, obviously, it's something else the guys could be doing other than paying the bill.
I put in about $40,000.
I'll see Mr. Rourke tonight at the EDC, and I'll confirm that for you.
All right.
Philip, going to the $520,000 loan payment for the ladder truck, have we reduced any of our USDA loan amounts or to where that won't frighten us so much, that loan payment?
Well, it's still frightening.
Yeah,
However,
obviously, yeah.
we did pay off several items last year. We paid off the mini excavator, we paid off the skid steer, and did we pay the police car? Police car. So we paid off some, but it won't be enough to offset
Offset that.
the full amount of that 520. But we do have 6 months of payment. We amortize 6 months of payment, but 10-year amortization, 520,000, and what was the interest rate? 7 years? 2.5%.
Yes.
We 2.5% on the interest rate. So we have 6 months of payments in there. It may be 9 months, it may be 7 months, but we factored in that our first payment is due on or about December.
All right. Next line, you got ice storm reimbursement, we're still short 88,000.
We're still short $88,000. And
Are we gonna receive it, or?
yeah, I think Alex, that works on the other side, I kind of turned the file over to her and I said, this is just making me nutty. And we received last week $96,000. And that's why the numbers dropped precipitously from the 270 that we had originally was talking
I
about.
mean, I just hate for us to budget that we will be receiving $88,000 and we don't receive that.
We're gonna get it.
Okay,
We may get it before the end of the fiscal year,
gotcha,
and then we would have to hold that $88,000 and use it
correct.
as part of this cash. But we are still owed $88,000 from the feds and the state together.
What's this $100,000 pilot payment from electric? What is what is that? Like I say, I'm new at this. I don't.
$100,000 in the electric fund, we have a thing called payment in lieu of taxes, and pretty
Still
standard in the
don't
electric
tax.
system. If that electric system were owned by Southside or Dominion, they would be paying taxes on it, real estate taxes, or the appropriate tax, and maybe, what do they call it? Public Service Corporation taxes or something like that. And Jennifer actually did a little study a few years ago, and it came out about $91,000 is what she had. Because it is assessed, it's just exempt. And it would be about $91,000, so we have about $100,000.
Talking about the old days when I started on council, it was 800 grand.
I was about to say, that's how the budget used to be balanced, simply by the pilot payment.
Increase that, yeah. It's a leveling tool.
Yeah.
And we try to keep it reasonable and real, but so you know, Miller, it really is just an accounting to balance the general fund.
Okay.
It's
To help pay for our
Yeah.
stuff that the electric department obviously pays for,
There's not like a check that's cut, it's
Right.
just basically she'll make the transfer.
Okay.
general entry. Yeah.
But I think the 100 is a little more realistic than the 800, 700. When I
Remember
got here,
750 for a while.
It was 700 and some when I got here, yeah. Alright,
The IRF grant, tobacco.
IRF, grant, tobacco grant for the Armory, you know, we have $1 million grant, from the industrial revitalization, $581,000 from the tobacco grant. Chief has some PD grant, that was a relatively small amount, 15 grand there. I wanna talk to you very quickly as well, but we can continue on revenues if you'd like, but highlights of the revenues is no tax increase. It's a 4% water and sewer increase, 4% on water and 4% on sewer. We were talking more, however, we got a 100% grant on that aeration project. So I think the 4% certainly holds.
4% on water and sewer?
And sewer. Alright.
Which equates to how much typically, I mean, I'm sure it's in there, but
Well, I'll give you a pretty good shot.
it's easier once we go to council and start saying, all right, what do you wanna add, what do you wanna take away? If we can say, all right, this 4% equals how much money?
If you look at water and sewer revenue on the next to last page of your revenue, which is the smaller of the two packets. One page.
Sewer and utilities,
There's two sets of spreadsheets, center of the two.
What page is it, Philip?
70.
70. So page 4. If you see water and sewer revenues, 6610, which is in the first. Ooh, wait a minute. Your 7 don't look like my 7. Are you an expenditure?
Revenues.
Oh, Jack, did you give them something different you give me? Or am I using the old one?
You're using the old one.
I'm using the old one. It's me. Excuse me. And I apologize.
It's on the next page.
I apologize. Go to. Go to page 8 of 8. Hang on. I'm using the old one.
You talking about line 31?
Yeah, I'm talking about, it's the fifth one down from the top.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
2,930,000. Okay. Our budget this year, okay, budget figure was 2.7 million. So I see about a 200,000, because I didn't factor in any additional customers, I just used actual consumption from the 12 months.
So 4% will bring in $200,000.
So that's what we're assuming.
$50,000.
Now, a portion, I wouldn't say it's 200,000, but I would say that's with the expectation of what we sold last year with any increases. But we really didn't have a full year of Wilkerson, and we didn't have a full year of the Inn and all that. But we're budgeting almost $200,000 more. Good portion of that, a significant portion of that would be that 4% improvement. And I'll be honest with you, I need water and sewer money. This will primarily service the debt for people. $3.2 million that we borrowed.
And
We got a hell of a deal on it.
But we didn't raise rates.
You didn't raise the rates previously. We waited until the project was done and then came back. Additionally, in revenues, there's a 14.4% increase in your electric rate, your base electric rate. So there's nothing else.
Jake was just asking, what would the total budget be without the grants? And you're gonna be at 19-ish million?
Yeah, that's not all the grants, but those are the highlights, but yes,
Yeah.
the entire armory, $3.7 million is the whole grant. Fire truck is $1 million grant, so
That's $4 million.
almost $5 million right there in just grant money.
Yeah, say that ain't-
Just
that
grant
ain't
money.
took away 1.6.
And that doesn't include if we get grant money at the airfield, because I haven't budgeted airfield projects, because I don't know if we'll get them. We'll have to do appropriation or whatever, and that'll be next fiscal year when they have the additional in. So just what we're seeing here, the easy stuff that you can pick out, fire trucks and armory, you've got at least $4.8 million.
Yeah.
in grant money. 3.7 on the armory,
Hey, Philip,
roughly, and then $1.05 million on the truck.
so where's this discretionary fund y'all were talking about? Where would that be?
Discretionary fund typically is an expenditure side under town council. Under town council, which is,
It is.
Where you at?
If there's,
7 or 8
Wait.
down.
and I don't know.
You on it? No, it's on the expenditures.
Big deal
Right there.
or make a lot of work
Okay.
just to get a couple of numbers. There's a way to see the revenues
I got you.
and
Okay.
expenditures with subtracting the grant money.
all grant money.
You know, just
Anything
all,
that we've got.
if he can, I mean, we didn't waste a ton of time on it,
And
but
we've got 60,000 for Taylor Bound. Planning grant.
yeah,
We can go back through the list and subtract that out and then show you what the,
You just
cause
wanna
that's
see.
more about what I care is balance, because if, if the budget's 21 million and we got 20 million in grant money, even though I know that didn't happen, but we're spending 19 on our operations because of this, I'd like to be able
I
to
mean,
balance it without grant money.
just for the
Does that make
purpose of
sense?
conversation, I think you could, like Miller said, you could almost get to $5 million in grant monies that are here. Now, we did get a big bump, so you know, in the amount of money the state reimburses us for road maintenance. That went from,
Well, that's out. You say you get a big bump, but also
you
the
get a-
expenditures were a big bump as well.
You get
Asphalt is
expensive, but-
tremendously more expensive now.
it was, we'd be getting 306 a month, or a quarter, and I think it bumped up to like 357.
Yeah, so I mean,
About $50,000 a quarter.
I'm green at this, so the only thing I can compare it to is how I run my own budget. And I think about how much I'm bringing in and how much I can count on it coming in, and then how much is going out, and then everything else is gifts, for lack of a better term. So if grandma gives me $1,000, I don't count that into my budget. That's a gift.
Well,
Does that
there's a
make
lot of additional things, county give us $200,000.
I mean, if it's a
Have
regular.
we
Grant.
used anything
It's a
like
one-time
discretionary
shot.
money
Yeah,
yet?
if it's a one, that's what I'm trying to figure out, what the one-time shot stuff
One-time
is
shot.
versus what, okay, the county gives us, like, if the county were to give us $100,000 every year, then I'd count that as a
Well,
revenue, not count it as a grant.
expenditure.
Because I thought
Yeah.
you said
Revenue
that
expense.
So if there's a way to. get
I don't think the $5 million is gonna be
see
far
the
off,
paperwork for
to be
that.
honest with you. I think you're gonna be pretty darn
I'm not
close.
sure it's a 501c3.
But yes, we will give you a more
That's what we
definitive.
said. That
So
before
with
we
that
was gonna
5
do
million in grant money, is that, when you go to the revenue
Right
side,
here.
It's an equal
it's 5 and 5? Okay,
60,000 expenditure for Taylor Bottom, 60,000 revenues. $1,050,000
We spent 93.
for the fire truck, plus 270,
You got six
plus
thousand left.
520. And
Yeah,
there's
that makes
all those revenues and all those
So we
expenses.
gonna put
That-
9
that-
more
that
thousand in there?
Answers what I was trying to get at.
No,
I just
no.
wanna make sure we're not living off grant money, in other words.
I've looked at it, I think we've caught them all, but there's an error
That
or
works.
something, but, I think you're gonna see that there are appropriate grants to match appropriate expenditure.
Yeah, so in other words, you think that the budget without grant money is about 16
I think it's
even,
more like a 16,
16
but I'll
even
give
on
you
each
a
side?
more exact figure if you happen to do that.
Yeah.
And, we make a living on grant money, I'll be honest with you. And the deal on the fire truck, oh, the hell of a deal. You guys know the armor probably wouldn't be getting done if it weren't for grant money. I mean, Chastity, put in a couple applications last year.
If anything good came out of COVID, it was grant money for.
And it's easier because of the
Yeah.
ARPA money and all that kind of stuff.
Helped tremendously. All right, so you've got 15 grand for PD equipment grant.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Moving, continuing on. Now, while we're on revenues, there are 3 issues that I'd like you to think about that are not, had not been modified. If you remember, in this current budget, we equalized our personal property tax rate. Remember the county was going back and forth and relief rates and how much are they gonna drop it? We truly equalized at 72 cents, okay? We truly equalized our rates at 72 cents, okay? She has not run me a final book. I think the 72 is still solid, but the county has dropped their relief rate to 45%, which is a de facto increase. Okay? Because
you're
That-
decreasing the discount.
do you want to stay at 60?
I think so, personally.
Do you want to stay
And
at
I
60?
know it brings in
and
more
72?
revenues, but
Now, when you get to the expenditures, because there's some things that ain't in this budget that I'm sure you guys want to do or want to take a look at, and those things have to be paid for. So that is one tool that you can use if you want to modify that relief rate. Okay. Second thing to discuss is we have a 6.5% meals tax. Okay. If council wants to do certain discretionary things, tourism, enhancement, any of that kind of stuff, downtown, DBI, all those kind of things, you got a $50,000 DBI budget, which is up from 33 or 34,000. Okay. If there's more things like that that you want to earmark specific expenditures and keep it in the discretionary budget of council so that you can release funds, there is the ability to go up to 7% at least on meals tax.
the only thing I see against us,
Mhm.
council discretionary funds are great, but we have way more. It's in the budget for $15,000, but you know how big our discretionary fund really is?
21 million.
Far greater than $15,000, because we just did a ditch for 100 grand. That was a discretionary fund expenditure.
It was discretionary.
And it's not. I'm not getting on just ditches. We dole out money each month at our discretion up here, whenever we choose to.
Yeah.
So I feel like personally, and I'm only one up here, unless we have an expenditure for that 0.5% on meals tax, I don't think we should raise it. Personally. Now, if we have an expenditure for it and say to the public, look, we're going to expend this extra 0.5% to do X, Y, and Z, I'm all for it.
Well, let's talk about the expense side of what's not in the budget
Correct.
and then make that kind of
Yeah.
decision. But that is and it's about 50 grand. If you were to go to,
That's what it equates to.
it'd be about
0.5%.
Mr. Chairman,
Uh-huh.
just so you know, Lynchburg is 7.5, Appomattox is 8. The town of Appomattox is 8%, so,
Like I said,
In Southfield, like 5.5?
yeah, something
long
like
as
that.
did a little spreadsheet here. Now.
as long as we show, I just feel like we already have too much power up here to expend town funds already. Or not, I don't even want to say town funds. I want to say citizens' money, personally.
Let's talk about the expenditures and then we'll go back and
No,
see if you want to hit
again,
any of these
Tonight's
highlights.
very preliminary, because we're all gonna just take this, we're not making any motions, nothing. We're
No,
gonna go
I
and say,
just
all right,
want-
we wanna see this added, we wanna see
Yeah.
this taken out, we wanna see, it's very
Okay.
preliminary.
I got a question over here. You got $96,000 for ditches. Now, how many ditches is that?
That would be the 2 cost estimates that we received to do the arm ditch and some of the ditches.
Okay.
And is this the additional work on Somerville's ditch or the?
The additional. kicked out some stuff, I mean, because that was just straight up general fund
Yeah, I
spending with no revenue coming in to pay it, that's just.
I discussed with Philip trying to get, I mean, Mr. Page had even mentioned, playgrounds, but
Well, that's one of those things,
One of
and
those
I
things has to
would
get
really
cut.
like to focus on some of that, but you gotta decide, do you wanna increase revenues, or do you wanna cut your expenditures?
again, I go back and I will side, if it came between the two of them, I would say something that would touch the general sector of the citizens of Blackstone, and that would obviously be the playground,
Right.
instead of something on private property.
I don't think there's some enthusiasm for it, town,
But that's why, this is all very preliminary, that's what we all have to hash out in the budget process.
that's your deliberation process.
Well, you know,
Rather let the citizens save their money.
like I said though, the only reason that I'm so hard on this ditch thing is because he left us in a jam. Then if you look at the paper 2 weeks ago, he had some more stuff in there. So I'm saying, go ahead and get it out the way. Then that way we ain't gotta worry about it, cause we got a 2-year moratorium on this work.
Yeah, but they adding up. Trust me, they wait.
We already broke that moratorium.
Well, I mean, we not doing no ditches or nothing for 2 years. That was already said,
But
and
didn't
it
we
was
already break
voted
that
on.
With Somerville?
huh?
Didn't we already break that with Somerville?
No.
I thought
But
we
see,
voted on that
Somerville
after
has been
the-
gone, it had been going on. Matter of fact, I think when we said no more mortality on the ditches, we were working on this.
Yeah.
Don't quote me now. I'm just saying, it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while too. I'm-
And in my opinion, I just feel like moratoriums are almost, and we do them all the time.
Council's been
It's
overrun
really
at
just
any
an
time, right?
excuse to kick the can down the road, in my opinion. I mean,
Couple of things on revenue side, if you see them, the big numbers, these aren't on the little, cheat sheet that Jackie put together for you, but, Chief and, Chris Mathias had announced that there was $153,000 of ARPA money coming in. I have an expectation that will come in at some point, but it's for capital projects, so it's one-time stuff. So if it does come in this year, we may have to do appropriation this year, if not,
for the police department,
for the police department. Yeah, that's some police cars and stuff like that. Okay?
if we can ever get the police cars.
See, we got two of them, $110,000.
There's 3 ordered, the pickup truck, and then the 2.
One of them's in this year's budget.
I've got the pickup truck in this current budget, but there's 2 police cars in this one that you're looking at right here.
And so this bathroom renovation, $40,000, that was already in the budget.
Over here.
These are the 2 bathrooms.
Yeah, but was that in the budget, or we haven't did them yet, right?
I haven't done them, they're not in this current year's budget, they'll be in, we're proposing it to start after the first of July. It's $40,000.
Again, that's our own buildings, that's something
But that's a
appreciation wise we ought
foul.
to.
Yeah, you ought to look at that.
Yeah, they're not good. And they're 33 years old, 34 years old, so it's time to put some new stuff in there.
What's our cigarette tax rate?
Cigarette tax, I think is 75,000, 85,000,
$25 a pack, I think, isn't it? He said rate, what's the
Rate.
rate?
22 cents on a pack.
22 cents a pack.
Okay. Now, can we raise that?
You know, I don't know. I'm gonna guess yes, but I don't know. I'd have to go check the state code. See
Because if
how
it's
much you can
22
raise.
cents, I'd say raise it to 25.
I think it's a litter, to be honest, in my opinion.
What you
So
mean?
I think, absolutely, it's one of those taxes where you couldn't tell me to go up high enough and I'd tell you to stop.
Right. So what I'm saying
Put a
is,
dollar on it, I
if
don't care.
huh?
You should put a dollar on it.
No, you
I'm
can't
sure
put no
there's a
dollar.
statutory limit.
85 cents
Yeah,
on the
huh?
cigarette tax. 85 cents on the,
Is the statutory limit?
Or is what
I'd
we
have to
get.
find out from the.
Yeah,
state.
can you
I gotta
find
look
that
at
out?
Just figure it out.
Yeah,
it.
figure
We
it out.
estimate 85 in collection. It's down a little bit. It's been kind of trending downward a little
It's
bit.
one of those things, and then it's more vaping. And
Right.
Do we tax vapes?
Do you tax vapes?
Can?
I don't know.
You don't
I would have
tax-
to- Chewing tobacco, all that kind of stuff.
Huh?
That's it.
Yeah, check that out.
Don't hit chewing tobacco.
Yeah,
Wait a minute.
Sorry for
What are
that.
we talking about here?
that's the first thing.
Hold it now.
It's one of them sidewalk, we got a power wash.
All right. Again, on revenues, conservative, conservative, conservative. Okay? The economy goes to pot. I don't wanna overestimate meals tax. Okay?
Well, you heard the guy.
We got
that-
$700,000 in meals tax estimated collection. At the current collection rate, it would be more than that. But I'm playing it cool and not going too far because that is susceptible to, real estate tax, that is susceptible to,
We know that, yeah.
What was the number?
that is susceptible to going up and going down.
What's that?
To be honest with you.
Meals tax.
Yeah,
During COVID, believe it
Yeah.
or not, it really didn't drop dramatically. It dropped
Right.
some, but,
We're going up 50,000.
but that was because I think the drive-through restaurants did so much more than, and then the folks that wanted to have sit-down restaurants didn't do as much.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure, this was our actual.
That's halfway through the year.
halfway through the year.
Yeah, through January.
Okay, do we, and,
Does it include January collections or the mid-month?
okay, I'm catching up now, okay, so we're.
All of January. Jackie said it
basically-
includes all of
would be
January.
halfway.
60 to 100,000.
7
off,
months out of-
right? 60 to 100,000 off the past 2 years.
Hmm?
I was just seeing what the actuals versus what we
Now, I
budgeted
do
for
caution
previously.
you on looking at this current year, because there are some things that Jackie started that may not be reflected, that she may not have included completely, but, things like water, sewer,
Well,
pretty close.
I commend the town manager for budgeting on a more conservative side
Always do
for
that.
things like this.
Good way to get yourself jammed up. You over
I
revenue,
guarantee you,
go south.
I mean,
Quick.
knock on wood, we have a very large establishment that pays, what, 30-some% of our meals tax. What if that establishment burns up?
Close for a month.
I mean,
They closed
it hurts.
for a month, yeah, at least.
So you
We
can't,
noticed that.
gotta be cautious.
So the revenues are pretty close on like personal property and real property, but for those variable things like meals tax, we're probably under unless we have a bad economy, and depends on which news outlet you listen to. It, the economy's great, the economy's terrible, but I have an expectation it could be sour.
But then you say you could fluctuate that?
Yeah, I've dropped ours, but no, the collections can fluctuate pretty easily.
And just so everybody knows, obviously, we're not we're obviously increasing our budgets. Lodging tax, we budgeted this year 30,000. This coming year, we're putting 75,000.
But look what we've done so far through
Correct.
January, which is over 40,000.
Yeah,
So that is
so we are
Reflection.
increasing, but we just wanna do it on a slower pace.
75,000 versus a $700,000 or $800,000 line item.
Hey, Philip,
Yes, sir.
well, you got this $2,000 for training and education, what is that?
In which department?
You just got it right here, see right here? Page 2 of 27.
Page 2 of 27 on the
Mhm.
expenditure.
And the number always.
Got 1968. This year, we're gonna put 1,500.
I got the wrong one again? I do.
So like when Chastity goes to conferences, that's where I take that money out of. We pay for her lodging, we pay for, this is just for the administration. So like if I were to take a class, that's where it would come out of. If Carol would go and get a notary or whatever, that's where it would come out of.
And Chastity has been going to stuff because
Well, I just, like I say, I'm new at this, I just wanted to know what it is.
training, like if you go to a VDOT conference or
We
something.
don't
Yeah.
have it budgeted because you don't know.
We didn't even. take
Jake asked why we don't have anything accounted for penalties for meals tax. Have we not had any?
I'm sure we have, it just hasn't been posted. I'm sure we
I
have.
was just looking at the actuals for.
It just has
2020.
not been posted, and something that Jackie and I and Brittany all need to sit down and make sure that you got fully accurate. I think you're good on your water and sewer stuff, the big numbers, but I think things like that, remember I said, some may not have gotten posted.
Does this reflect the, discount that meals tax,
It should.
get when they pay on
Should
time?
reflect it. This is actual collection.
Collection itself.
Mhm.
So I got, what you saying is if they delinquent or something, do we have a fund for that?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a line item here, there's just nothing on it right now.
Okay.
It's just one
But
of
I'm
those.
certain that
Yeah.
there
Okay.
was somebody delinquent during the course of the year.
But
Okay.
that's obviously not something that's gonna make or break us.
Uh-huh. We got
I was
things that
just
we need to
more
do,
just
like
curious.
reconcile airport fund. All of our airport collections, we need to start making sure we're putting that cash aside. We can kind of pay for these capital projects that we fully paid for. We've got some reconciling cemetery funds, all that kind of stuff.
The parking fees that we have, I was very minuscule, but we might as well, do we show it as an expenditure going out as well?
I think we gave help $275 last
We
time.
always give them 100% of what's,
Yeah, and it was
Yeah.
a couple $100.
but in the budget, do we show that as an expenditure?
I don't know,
I think it's in there under,
If we,
like
if,
the help building their, electric bill or something like
Okay.
that. I think that's factored into that.
We do pay the electric bill apparently at help. It's about 10,000.
Do we collect about 400 a year in parking fees?
I think we collected 270 last year.
Because we budgeted 400 last year, and if we only collected 275, we might not have, it's.
$100.
Not a lot in this
We
budget.
don't change it. I probably didn't put a lot of focus on those ones. Anyway. But
It's more
if you want to do
curiosity.
accurate, we can probably drop it some.
alright, what other items are?
That's the
obviously-
highlights of revenue. Okay. You with me? And of course, we got decal money and county contributions for fire trucks and all that kind of stuff, that's all included.
And I'm not even gonna waste our time currently at the electric rates, because really that's nothing on our end, it's simply pass-throughs. We'll go through it
So
another.
we did drop, from the current fuel adjustment, we did drop it down to what they gave, we gave you guys in January, what they gave us.
But the rates went up tremendously,
Rate went up 14.4%.
but they offset,
Should.
yeah.
In a perfect world, it's gonna hold. Expenditures, all funds balance.
But Philip, you got over here for the medical center, like I said, I'm new at this, but you got repair and maintenance payments. 13, 16, 16, and now you trying to put minus 16 in the budget?
It's usually what we, maintenance payments is, we're responsible to maintain the building, fix the air conditioning, patch leaks, new window, whatever we gotta do. And it has been running approximately 16, but we get it paid back.
Oh, okay.
They pay us that 16. So we're
Quarterly,
okay.
quarterly, right? You give them a,
Now, we send them an invoice in May.
okay.
To be honest, the more maintenance we can do on the building, which is ours, at their expense is great, I mean.
Okay.
The 23,000 that you see in medical center, that's the actual monthly rent that they pay. And the other part, the 16 is, we assume that there's gonna be $16,000 of expense and revenue for the maintenance of the building. We got a leaking roof in one spot, we'll work on that.
But it's all pass-through.
It should be matched, it should be equal.
Alright, so you have on the expenditures, you've got, one performance and, I don't know if we need to go through each one of these, but.
You can go to the little,
3% cost of living.
yeah, 3% cost of living, you guys had voted on, steps for the electric guys, some of the electric guys and some of the, water and wastewater treatment operators. Those were voted on last year, and they're included. So, but otherwise, it's a 3% across the board.
Admin went down 20,000 this year due to one position leaving.
We're down 2 positions.
Okay. Yeah.
You're down 2 positions.
Do tell.
Well, so we had 14, if you look, we had 14 employees in FY '23, this past fiscal year. And then or the beginning of this fiscal year, and then we have 12. So,
And who are the two that left?
Jennifer.
already left,
You moved, so
And then
you're
I
put old
moved.
position.
and then we're still advertising, or we're still.
That's still just one position.
And then, I think Brittany lost, she had 3 D&D girls at one point.
Or at least in the budget sheet.
In the budget it
Yeah.
showed, yeah. Alright,
Your big highlights this year, armory, we've talked, fire trucks, we've talked. You got a little bit more money to do road paving, about $200,000 a year doing road paving, that's increasing the street department. Garbage is approximately level, we don't have our garbage truck to purchase. When we talk about vehicles that are ordered, okay, you got 3 police vehicles ordered, 2 in the budget that you're looking at, 1 in this current year's budget, okay, which was the animal control / police officer vehicle. Okay. That's 3. I've got 2 pickup trucks ordered for the street department. But the cash for those, when it gets here, that cash is already set aside, because we always save our money when we sell an old bucket truck or we sell an old garbage truck. That cash is all sitting, it's about $88,000 that we have sitting on that account. There goes 2 pickup trucks. Plus you got a fire truck, and you'll see an expenditure in the electric department about $215,000 for a new bucket truck. And that again will be cash on hand that we'll pay for. We're not financing that. We are financing out of all that, $520 for the fire truck. Okay. Those 2 police cars, that ARPA grant money, but the 3rd police car that's in this year's expected expenditure is a 55-45 split. You would have 55% grant, 45% of that be loan.
look at police, just cause Chief's here, obviously he probably has his packet, but he's got his 2 promotions included for the night sergeants, or night.
Corporals.
Corporals, excuse me. Electric, I see you've got 3 step increases, which you've already talked, And because they're getting those increases, does that mean we have to have 4 equalization increases?
So the
Ma'am.
equalizations, y'all, that was agreed upon for this fiscal year going up. So like, the guy, I don't wanna name people's names,
No,
but.
that's fine.
You mean at the water,
people that have
wastewater
been
treatment
here-
and all
No,
that?
it's
So it's for
electrical.
water and wastewater did it, and, electric. If you remember, I think Edward and Dan both presented last year, where like the guys that have been here a little bit longer, because the step increase went from $1 to $1.50, they were thinking the new hires were gonna catch up and make more than the guys that have been here 20, 30 years. So that was voted on, they would get $1 every year for like a certain amount of years. I have to look back, but I can send it to you.
Can you get something for us on those?
Yep, I can,
I just,
So
I
is
mean,
that-
it's a $72,000 expense.
yeah, I can send it.
So you, okay, so is that $1? And does that increase, does that increase, shit, does that include the 3% raise?
Oh,
Okay.
You may send it to me too, Mel?
I don't, yeah, you can, I mean, like I say, I'm new at this. Ben's supposed to be telling me he was over there looking somewhere else.
Yeah, so just show those, I mean, just get us something that
Yeah.
those
Thank you, Mr. Miller.
equalization raises, increases, excuse me, not raises.
Here's the
Phil,
main
what else
ask.
you got?
Again, on expenditure, Jackie went over and kind of gave you a rundown on salaries and all that kind of stuff. 3% other than what's been agreed to. Okay, and then I think Chief has asked for those, corporal. General fund capital. $96,000 for private ditches, 1.84 million for the ladder truck. We always put in 25 for the fire department training here, we've been doing that probably since I've been here, it may have gone up
20,
some.
going up, yeah.
Again, 2 police cars, got the armory, $40,000 to do something with these bathrooms in here. Jackie still has a mower, that was kind of a carryover, because I think we had it in the current year's budget, but it hit it again, and then school building demolition, 75,000.
So you are gonna try to do the school building this year?
I'd like to tear that one down.
If we get the buildings.
If it's a big word.
Well, I mean, I think it's in the works, but I mean.
Yeah.
It just can't stay like it
Right,
is.
right,
Whether we
right.
tear it down or you blight it,
I think
Right.
y'all made it clear to me
We did,
about that building,
yeah,
so
It's
we
gotta
will
go.
get it.
yeah.
I will note that we have $90,000 of new monies from the county that we budgeted in for expenditure, $50,000 of regular work, finish the football field, scoreboard, bleachers, and all that good stuff, finish the inside, and $40,000 from their, money they've been hoarding for years and years that needs to be spent on weatherization. We've made application for $100,000, they asked us courteously to drop it to 40, and sadly, I think Ted said he didn't include it in the budget, and I'm not sure what that was all about. I think Mayor had some words on that topic. The $40,000 weatherization money, and he said he needed to wait on Burkeville or something.
I wasn't really polite about it.
Huh?
I wasn't very polite about it.
Yeah, I think we had an understanding, because they do have the cash on hand, but this budget reflects 90,000 new dollars, one-time dollars from the county, 50 for football field and 40 for weatherization. And the 40's there now.
Mr. Bowen won't be at that meeting tonight, he's got a work obligation, but I'm gonna give Mr. Walker a earful about it.
Okay?
Alright.
Some of the things you may be curious about, again, we talked about bucket truck is in there, 215,000, but that's all cash that we have on hand. And when it gets here, we'll cut them a check. Yep.
You already ordered it.
Oh, it was ordered in 21
Oh, okay.
and got it back on the thing.
Okay.
And we've
So
been
did-
putting the cash aside.
We just carry that over from this, cause obviously we had it in this budget year.
It's in this budget year, but it's not gonna be delivered this fiscal year. It'll be delivered next fiscal year, but it's a $215,000 fund balance, cash on hand to pay it. But I've got I don't have it yet, but I'll have the $200,000, $250,000. Transformer replacement, we've already ordered these suckers. And we're
Yeah.
going on 28, 46, 50-week delivery time, so again, they're not here, so they'll be in a budget again. Water sewer capital, I think Ed made a presentation to you guys about aeration system, and this is in one of the water tanks. There's 20 in there. And then a water tank renovation. This is the remodel one of the interiors of the water tank.
There goes your 200,000 plus some.
Huh?
That goes your 4% plus some.
Well, no, that 4% is for debt service. This is just being paid for because you had, I think, 150,000 in this year's budget. Yeah. That we saved up. Because they're supposed to be here in the next few weeks to work on the one at the bowling alley at the, on
The old bowling.
old bowling alley. I say bowling alley.
'Cause the
Excuse me,
new
movie theater.
I was
Maybe
driving
that
by,
was
I'm like,
The old one at the movie theater.
I never seen a water tower right there.
The old one that is at the old bowling alley.
Closest one to it is out of service now.
The one at the old bowling alley is still active, but it's on the Fast C reservation.
Gotcha.
But this is the one at the old movie theater.
All right, so going through looking at items that the three of us plus all members of council really need to digest are, and I'm just gonna recap, the 0.5% on meals tax. We need to figure out if and or what. I would like for us to look at the cigarette tax. I'm hearing from the three of us up here that it sounds like, let's look at it, see what can be done, as well as if there's a possible vape tax, whatever it be.
Just a general tobacco tax.
Yeah. The ditch issue, the $96,000. What else do y'all have that it's a,
I'll give you a couple pointers on expenditures that didn't get in here. There was some discussion about a second police officer. There's one police officer added this year in this budget. There's the intention to add 2 police officers.
But the grant didn't come through or something, right?
It didn't come through.
Right.
So you're gonna have to come up with cash. But this budget only reflects one additional officer that, I think he's advertised it, and the intention is hopefully to send somebody in July to school. Academy. Okay.
so only one position included, but 2 requested?
No, I don't think there were 2 requested. I think it's just a discussion
Did-
at council level.
I think, yeah, that came out of police and employment. That's where it came from.
Officer. And I don't have anything in for playground equipment. And I would like to expand the playground. In the offerings that we have.
Which one? Which playground?
Specifically, I would start with,
Wigglesworth?
I would start at Wigglesworth, but I've been approached by Mr. Page, and he's come up with a concept, and I think it has some merit if you find the right spots to put additional playgrounds, maybe out of Church Street, North Main Street, that kind of thing.
Church Street, probably Church Street, Dillard Street, and probably one in Taylor Bottom.
Well,
Cross from Taylor Bottom on Main, cross from, next to the dental wall.
we gotta make sure that it's super, super visible.
Right.
And with what we're doing, the reason North Main does make some sense, we're talking about sidewalks from Taylor's Bottom and areas on Main Street where it could be and that kind of thing. If you put them in a tucked away, quiet location, they're gonna get trashed. The one at Wigglesworth for years was dumping the ground, and we tore it down because of such. So we need to find visible locations, but, North Main and Church is the ones that Chris and I have talked about.
At Taylor Bottom, I don't see that many kids down there. So we might need to talk about that. I mean, it's always open for negotiation, but I don't see as many kids in Taylor Bottom as I do when you come up. You understand what I'm saying? When you leave Taylor Bottom, you start going out in town, which Wigglesworth is a good idea. But I don't see one down there in Taylor Bottom because you don't have that many kids.
Well, I think it was more north end of town,
Right,
so that may be Stoke Street, Center Street.
right. It's a-
One of my goals for now 13 years that I've been here, still nothing in there for South Main Street sidewalks.
We have applied, but remember, South Main Street sidewalk project is like a 2026 on this grant. So it's still several years down the road. If you wanna do that, we can certainly do that. I don't mind saving money.
Well, no, that's all I was saying. We had talked, not just you and I, we talked about stocking money away, trying to get projects done like that.
I
So-
don't have anything set away for that project.
And that's when I go back, and that's how I get back on my soapbox of the ditch. We spend $96,000 of public money on private property when let the whole town benefit from sidewalks, whether they be on North Main or South Main.
Listen,
wherever
it won't happen again.
Yeah.
But but the reason why, because I don't,
I see where your
You-
point's
you see
coming
my
from.
po-
I
you
do.
see my point,
100% I
right?
see it.
I do.
right. I mean, let's just get it out the way.
So if you wanna add stuff, we can add stuff. You've got a couple of options on your revenue. A third option, we talked about personal property tax, if you wanna adjust that relief rate or you wanna go up on it. The second thing that you got is, meals tax. The third item.
I'd like y'all to consider the meals tax,
Just
and
with
remember that, I don't know what the numbers are, but I would dare say it's over 50% of the people paying that meals tax are transient. Okay? But, and and your comment was, you wanna let the people keep their money, but when the cigarettes comes up, and you have a lot of people in town that smoke, y'all are quick to jump on that, so this increase in the meals tax to give back to the community is important to me. I just want to stress that too.
The only reason I speak out against meals tax, because every time I talk to a citizen, they talk about wanting more options to eat in town.
Mhm.
And even though I don't think it really has any effect on it, it's just not, I don't think it's good optics to raise our meals tax when everybody wants more restaurants. I think we should be trying to figure out how to incentivize restaurants coming here rather than.
But we're talking about a nickel on a $10 item, a $10 meal, a nickel. We're not talking about an extra dollar on a $10 meal. We're talking about a
agree, but
nickel.
We're right there, middle of the road, on our meals tax, and I just don't see a small town like us going on the high end, but I'm still open for discussion on it. It's just,
Third item to think about revenue wise, and it's on the front page of your sheet that Jackie put together. We want to present to you, Dan's come to me, and we've had a long discussion about this. I don't know how this is gonna suit, I don't know if this is the year to do it. But right now, our tiered electric rates, specifically on the commercial, your residential is supplementing commercial, because we're basically selling, in certain tiers, electricity below cost. Okay? On the commercial side. Whereas residential, I'll give you an example, the higher end users, more than 3,000 kilowatt hours in the commercial side, okay, they're paying a 7 to 8 cent per kilowatt hour. A residence is paying over 10 cents per kilowatt hour. So, if that's something you guys wanna take a look at, Dan is recommending to me that we take a look at that. I don't think that necessarily has to be a big windfall in cash, but it certainly doesn't need to be a reduction. But I do think your higher users on the commercial side are paying below what it costs for us to deliver electricity. Okay? Whereas the residential, all tiers are paying above what we buy.
Now, that might work out on Elm Street, but that's not gonna work out on Main Street,
I didn't tell
we
you to
sell-
do it, I'm just
I
telling you
know,
to look
I'm
at
just
it.
telling, want y'all to
Especially
look at that because,
Well-
With the increase that's coming this year, even though
yeah, but
fuel's
still,
going down, but
I wouldn't last long buying a car for $1,000 and selling it for 800. I wouldn't last many
Oh, that's what
minutes.
you're talking about. All right,
Yeah, I just,
And the
I
majority of
don't
our
think-
commercial users are in the top two tiers.
I think they would understand if they're buying your product below cost, that that's not reasonable.
And there's another line in there to look at, and I'm not advocating we do it this year because you got a 14%. I really want to take a look at it, that the first 20 kilowatts purchased by a commercial, we give them
Yeah, free,
free.
right.
So one of the things I would think is maybe we don't do free kilowatts. And maybe, hopefully, try to pick up some of that revenue back. But, yeah, the majority of our sales are to commercial, but the rates are appreciably higher for residential than they are for commercial.
what do we actually pay per kilowatt hour?
Dan told me yesterday, about 6 cents.
Well, if I'm looking at 6 cents, then how are we ever losing money? I mean, our cheapest rate
6
is,
cents is what we buy
Gross,
for.
that's the
Back.
gross.
Hey, Dan, I gotta,
well, agreed.
yeah, so,
But I mean, no offense, our guys aren't always working electric either.
they're not always working
I mean, today we were working ball fields all day.
at the ball field.
But a percentage of Philip's salary, the clerk's salary, all
Agreed,
has to
but
come out of
I
it.
can't see you go into a business and saying, you know what, you pay us $5,000 a month right now in electric rates, and in the meantime, you're gonna pay me $7 now because, I mean, there's something to look at, absolutely.
Something to look at, but these are the questions that you gotta handle.
I think your key is gonna be that first 20 kilowatt hours, probably to look at trying to,
That's about $100 a bill.
yeah.
It's not a huge amount, but I do think as a start is to not do free kilowatt hours, or kilowatts.
Or if you do, drop it from 20 to 10. Anything over 10?
You can
Yeah.
tear it down. however you
But
want.
I don't think you should do it all at once, but you need to look at this, you know, you could phase
You
it
could do
in.
that this year, because that is a smaller part of it, is that 20 kilowatts would be far less than changing a tier dramatically from 7 cents and 7 and change to 10 cents. But the residential has a much higher per kilowatt hour rate than a business does, so, although their consumption is.
And I always offer this because it's a lot easier seeing an actual bill. Can we get, and I know the garden center's not a big bill compared to what some of these are, get my bill or either get someone else's bill that's a large commercial user and get their permission,
Mhm.
present it to us as to what it currently is, and then what it would be with such changes.
Yeah, they do.
It's so much easier looking at a bill and
I'd
seeing.
like to bring Dan in too. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
this is
fine.
good stuff for
That's
Dan
fine.
to bite into and.
It's a lot
understand.
easier to see it on a bill than look at this rate chart right here and go, oh yeah, that's.
But I do think it has enough merit to have that discussion.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, we're hitting on time now, so.
Questions? And I'm sure you'll have a bunch.
Oh,
Mark them down, and let's meet again, a week to 10 days or something.
Go through
I wanna throw a, police and fire committee in there before we come back with the finance. Right,
Go through these, the three of
Yeah.
us, look at the revenues, expenditures, see what increases. Obviously, you look at the last column is the proposed for this year, and then look at the, second to last.
I think I stole you.
That's the ones we really need to. Just look at and see what you want and don't want, and,
Thank you.
It's just easier for me to see without it.
all right,
alright.
any
I'm good.
questions, Miller?
I'm good.
Okay.
Like I say, I'm learning.
Meeting adjourned,
Yeah.
4:55.
Are you gonna get back with me?
Yeah.
Alright, I won't